This is a new development of canine. This is very futuristic. So, and I want to talk a little bit about evolution. I watched a bunch of really interesting documentary films lately about the development of the whale and the human and the dog and whale, human and dog, believe it or not, which I believe that you don't believe it, but it's still a fact. We all have a common ancestor. And I find that very creative and artistic, this development. And people always, when they see these charts, or when they see like a morphing animation, then they think, oh, that animal has just morphed through all of these stages in one lifetime. No, that's a very childlike idea, very naive, and that was believed by a person called Lamarck in the 1600 or something, and it is wrong. It has long been overturned by Charles Darwin, of course, and Charles Darwin has really discovered the mark stone of this concept, of this principle, that things, they evolve very, very, very slowly, and there is a lot of trial and error at play, because there is no distinct morphing into a specific goal. It's just like a fanning out of trial and error type of things that happen, and they happen through mutations, and mutations happen through radiation, like if there is an aurora or sunbeam that is a little stronger, or if there are some kind of radiation flares from the universe that happen to come through, or just in minute amounts, it causes a minute mutation, not a large mutation usually. It's always like small mutations that happen in the next generation. And if that mutation turns out to not be adverse for the situation of living and surviving, then it will stay. Okay, it will stay and it will remain just like that. And if something is even beneficial, that will stay too. So whatever is beneficial will stay, and that will live on, and it will procreate and give to the next generation, and until another mutation happens, maybe another mutation happens in another offspring where this particular characteristic, like a longer toe, it doesn't work out, and then it will not, this person will not survive then. So yeah, so whatever works the best will also proliferate naturally. It's a very, very, very slow process. Doesn't happen in one lifetime. It happens in the next generation. Okay, if I have a child, and the child has a little bit bluer skin than I have, and this bluer skin somehow has some kind of benefit of surviving radiation, let's say, now with the environmental pollution that we have, then this will be beneficial, and if the child is also very intelligent, more than I am, then that child will also benefit from that, and he will be able to maneuver himself through this jungle of chaos that we're surrounded with, and another person will not figure that out. Okay, so this is evolution. What works the best will proliferate eventually. I'm not going to proliferate anything that I have in my DNA, because I don't have kids. Okay, so I'm a dead end, if you want, but my brother has a child, and she's highly intelligent, and she looks a lot like us, and because his wife looks a little bit like us too. I find it unethical to put a child in the world. That's why I don't have one, right? Or I would have it. But so other people, they don't see it that way. They have a child, and at least he only has one child, and so this an intelligent child, it will survive. It's good that some are intelligent. They're gonna be making it. There's more that are not intelligent that proliferate. Many more of it, and they're gonna be running against a brick wall in the end. It will not be able to compete in a more and more technological world with microchips and so on. But maybe a handful of people who have made it through genetically, who are intelligent, they will make it, and they will be able to communicate at least with the technological development, which is also happening on a very slow, steady, gradual pace, of course. It's not like we all of a sudden have an AGI. There's a lot of things a lot of intermediates that will happen that develop towards the AGI, the artificial general intelligence, the robotic brain, the substitute for a human brain. Little by little, more and more of these prosthesis types of things will start to develop, start to be developed by people. And at some point, the technological development, the technological brains will have a lead. They will be way advanced to any biological brain on Earth. So, and then they will make decisions for us, and they might do so. They might do all kinds of things that they see as more appropriate for planet Earth. Okay, so we'll see how they make decisions. I just hope that they'll make decisions in terms of pro all life, not pro human life only, pro all life. And whatever that means, if that means that some people are just too destructive for their taste, then yeah, they all do away with them. It's just like people do away with cockroaches. It's the same principle. And I'm not putting people down. I'm beyond a moral judgment here. It's just a natural sequence that I have no power over. Okay, I'm just saying this is a scenario that might be playing out. Whether this is regarded as good or bad by humans doesn't really matter at all. Okay, it only matters then to the AGI what they consider as good or bad. So, and we'll have to leave it at that. That's all there is to it. And it will happen. It will come to this development, no matter what anybody says or does or petitions. Or it is a development that is totally unstoppable. It's an inexorable development that is just going to happen, and it just is. And we should just make peace with it and not be freaking out, because like everything, it will happen on a very gradual pace. People are getting used to it. If we go 300 years back in time, if you showed somebody your small Acer laptop, and they can even see themselves in it, in a video or something, they'll completely lose their minds. Yeah, they'll shoot you. They'll think you are a witch. They'll get terrified. Same today, when people think about the future development and the AGIs, and they have Schwarzenegger, Terminator in mind, and there's all these movies out there that dramatize things. It's not going to be like that at all. It's not going to be Terminator. It's not at all. You know, they're the AGIs. They're merging with us. You know, people are gonna become AGIs little by little as they exchange their body parts. If they're not living healthy, they're gonna be exchanging their body parts for prostheses that are computerized, and that's all there is to it. Eyes, everything, even the brain will be exchanged. And if they do good enough brain mapping, you have about the same type of memories again, and or maybe the same memories, and yeah, and then try to simulate it as closely as possible, and you have some kind of replica of yourself eventually, but one that has advancements, and one that is more capable of thinking, that is directly connected to the internet without going on the computer. And that's when the singularity happens. That's when everything becomes basically one database, you know, on the whole globe. So there's a slow merging, and eventually there will be full, completely new machines that are not matched in someone else's prior existence. And then there's no difference really between those and the prosthesis person, you know. So and then maybe there's a little bit biology left in that body from a as a relic of somebody's former existence, you know. But they'll be basically completely exchanged into a machine. And this will happen very gradually, and people get used to it, just like people got used to having a laptop computer on their laps and seeing themselves in a video and talking to people on the internet, talking on Google Hangout and making YouTube videos. You know, it'll be just as natural as that. And it is not this sudden Terminator army, you know, but as things progress, and hopefully the human mind will also progress in terms of understanding. So I'm already seeing a development on the internet.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, see you later, be careful. I already see that, like, just from the beginning of YouTube, when was it? Around 2006, I started YouTube watching in 2006, and I was shocked then when I saw how many people are religious and how religious they are, and how they are locked away in this mental enclave. They have no contact to the outside world. They have no contact to people who have knowledge about science. So they just kept, they're stuck mentally, and they're perpetuating that old type of knowledge that they had like 300 years ago. And they know nothing about evolution, and so their egos also latch on to this, and they're extremely hostile to people who are thinking differently and think out of the box and all of this and have an education. And so that's what I saw in 2006. There was an enormous uproar against any type of scientific thinking. And so when I watched videos like the whale development, for example, I saw in the rating system, they had a different rating system. They had these 5-star rating systems in the beginning, and so I saw just by the way people rated that it was like 3 to 1, like it was like 75% of people, or even more, who were opposed to science versus, you know, the rest, the other 25% or 20% or maybe 15% of people who were pro-science. So the tide has turned. So now I saw that gradually happen. Now, like 10 years later almost, we have it exactly reversed. Now we have the majority, at least, you know, if not 75%, I would say, that's about the average that I see, 75% of people giving thumbs up on the science videos and the rest thumbs down. So it has gotten a whole lot better. People have, a lot of people have had a new outlook and were willing to look at it, were willing to listen, and they were willing to decide, okay, it's not about me, this is not about my ego, this is about facts here, this is about truth. And even if it hurt their feelings that they are actually a product of evolution, that their ancestors were amphibians, if that hurts their feelings and their egos, and that hurts a lot of people's egos, okay, no doubt about it. Never hurt my ego. I'm honored to have a history of development like this behind me, that comes from a first amino acid, you know, and developed into flukes and worms and invertebrates and amphibians and reptiles and mammals and rats and climbing rats and Ita. Ita was a climbing type of lemur, but it was they found it was directly on the lineage of humans. That was a long time ago. When Ita was developing, that was already past the first whales. So the first whales, they were before the first climbing mammal that ended up into when the whales started to develop, that was long before the human lineage. So that was long before the humans started to develop. And at that point, when the whale developed, we all had that same ancestor where that prehistoric land whale came out of. Prehistoric land whale was already pretty large, had a very large, thick tail. But you can see they did an approximate replication of how this animal would have looked like, and you can see that all kinds of possibilities of animal development is in this animal. It's not just the pre-concept for a wolf. It is also a pre-concept of an opossum, a rat, a climbing animal, and a kangaroo, and all kinds of those things is in this, or could come out of this, you know, eventually. So it was like, let's put it this way, it was much closer to our common ancestor, and the common ancestor lies even further away from that Pakisita animal. The prehistoric whale developed in Pakistan, and the common ancestor of all that we have today lies before that Pakisita, so long before that, another couple of millions of years before that, where there was really a point where the fork road was about to happen. You know, there's always fork roads in evolutions. There's always fork roads happening in evolution, and so many that it is crazy to oversee all of this. It's all happening simultaneously, all these side branchings that will work or will not work, that will stagnate at some point, but then the former animal will make it and will make it further, and it kind of like you have these arms that will taper out at some point, and others that will make it to today. Yeah. So, and it is traceable. It is totally traceable back. You can determine the age of bones through carbon dating. This is a very accurate material dating technique. So you can determine exactly in which range of time this had developed, and it's a complicated process that has to do with chemistry. I don't know it all in detail. It has to do with a specific radiation of the electrons that, according to that, can be measured what exact date that has lived. It is very critical that people start to look into science, because that is where the truth is, that's where the facts are, and it is fascinating, it is artistic, it is very creative, it's beautiful, and to me it's an honor, you know, because I'm not a speciesist, to me it's an honor that I have evolved from different physiological animals. It is an honor for me that I have evolved from a different body, or different bodies, many different bodies that are my ancestors, okay? And they go back in time, and they get smaller when you go back in time, smaller and smaller and smaller, until you hit that prehistoric common ancestor of all kinds of individuals that we have today. Kenny, you know, is on the couch. Myself, my husband, all the fundamentalists, we're all related. We're all related 100%. It's just that some people are closer related than others. So my dog Kenny is my cousin. We named him after Paul's cousin Kenny. So I always say Kenny is my cousin. Make another video later. I just wanted to mention that there is a group of Christians now who are not speciesist, and they have joined PETA. I'm going to put the link under the video, and if you want to join them, if you want to check out their website, they have a lot of quotes from the Bible that are pro-animals. And so, I mean, the Bible was written by all kinds of different people, right? So some of them were very selfish and very self and profit and greed oriented, and others were more altruistic. So you have all kinds of different things in it, right? It's just a matter of what you want to use for yourself, which wisdom. And that's just about the same philosophy I use for everything else. When you read a book, or any book, you know, take the stuff that you agree with, take the stuff that is pro our life, that is pro peace, that is pro health and joy and the meaning of life, you know, being joyful, being creative, being artistic, you know, being playful, supporting your inner child. So that's what you want. When you read a book, it's not like that book is going to tell you know how you have to live your life. It doesn't matter whether that's Terence McKenna or Rush Limbaugh or Al Gore or anybody. I mean, just read also between the lines, and what makes sense makes sense. Science, hard scientific data is definitely something that is not that easy to dispute, right? So, you know, just learn data, learn information, learn facts, learn about yourself. And there's no threat in evolution, there's no threatening. It's only threatening to the ego, but the ego is what we want to dissolve, right? I hope so. So, because the ego is not supportive of love, creativity, and peace. So let's dissolve the ego, let's dissolve the old way of school thinking, and let's get into peace and love and self-love and other love, and just love life, love all life, or love your own cells, love the cells of others, the tree, everything, you know. No more pesticides, no more logging, no more destruction. Okay, this is not necessary. No more corporate bandwagon. Forget all this. Go with life, okay? All life. That is the answer. And read books and whatever is supportive of life, then that you embrace, and you say, yeah, he's right. And what he doesn't, if somebody writes against life, then you say he's wrong. I'm not going to accept that. This is how we go. We have to go with our inner compass, the inner compass of the inner child. The inner child was free of this. Okay, the inner child is not egoic. So it's the inner child is your whole body, your body cells. Okay, and your body cells want peace. And so if we tune ourselves in with that, that is our inner compass. That is the compass for right and wrong. It's very crystal clear what the compass for right and wrong is. For all life that's the path. Not against life. This is so simple. Just think about this. Meditate on it. Do Vipassana meditation. Read science books. Feed yourself with nutrition. Breathe oxygen. Support the trees. Support the forests. So take care.